The economy is a system that is built on the activities and interactions between four main groups in society: people, businesses, banks, and governments. And the activities or interactions between these groups include the production of goods and services, the consumption of goods and services, and the exchange of money from one hand to another. So let's use a basic example to illustrate what I've just said. Let's say you have Ben here, and he has $500 in disposable savings, meaning he has enough personal savings that he's happy to spend. He then goes down the road to the furniture store owned by Sarah and uses this money to purchase a new sofa with all of his disposable savings. So this is quite simple. Sarah is producing a good, Ben is looking to consume it or achieve some sort of use from it, and then he transfers money from his hands to Sarah's hands. Now let's broaden this example. So Sarah, with this new money that she's earned from the sale of this sofa, now has some disposable income of her own. So she then takes this $500 to Jennifer's clothing shop to buy a new dress for a party that she's going to next week. This is fantastic for Jennifer because after selling the dress, she now has enough savings to pay Ben to fix her home plumbing. And as you can see, as we broaden the example, consumption and spending of one person becomes the income of someone else. And this just captures the activities and interactions between just people and businesses. So now let's look at how banks fit into the economy. Well, coming back to our last example, let's say that Ben is living in a cramped apartment and wants to move into a nicer home. But obviously this is going to cost money which he doesn't have. Ben then goes to a bank and applies for a loan so that he can use this to buy a new home, even though he can't afford it. The implication is that he has to work hard in the future so that he can earn enough to repay this debt. So banks play an important part in the economy because they lend people money, so that they can immediately consume or acquire what they're after. In economics, the money being lent out is called credit. Businesses will also tend to use credit if they're trying to expand their operations. So let's say Sarah wants to establish another store located on the other side of town. This will likely cost a lot of money. So credit will help her in setting up a store quite quickly, as opposed to having to wait several years in accumulating enough personal savings. And finally, let's now have a look at how the government plays a part in the economy. Well, people and businesses are only capable of providing for each other in so many areas. So things like defense, roads, parks, hospitals, and schools don't just come out of thin air. They have to come from somewhere. So the government plays a part in providing these public goods and services. But the government also has to have an income of its own, so it creates taxes. Taxes which it imposes on people, businesses, and banks. And the government is by no means perfect as well. They might not earn enough in taxes to fund public goods and services, so they sometimes lean on banks and lenders for credit if they need it. And as you can hopefully see now, the economic system is very much interrelated, based on the simple activities and interactions between people, businesses, banks, and governments.